Hello everyone and welcome to my video. There's a storm coming, okay? So I'm going to be real with you, and in today's video I'm going to let you know how my Somerset tomato plants are doing right now and how they're doing right now in this heat and humidity and the things that I'm using to help them grow. Okay, look, I live here in the South, okay? I live here in Okaloosa County, Florida, and I live in the northwest part of Florida. Okay, I live on the Gulf Coast, and yes, it does get hot and it does get humid here. And yes, I do struggle when it comes to growing tomatoes in the summertime. Now this here is my first time actually growing tomatoes of the heat set type. These two are called Somerset tomatoes. They are a determinate type tomato variety, and they are actually bred or developed to thrive in a hot humid climate like here in the state of Florida. Now, even though I'm in a zone 8B and I live in northern part of Okaloosa County, it still gets very hot and humid here. And being outside for however many long you're outside, even if you're not doing anything strenuous on your body, you're still going to sweat profusely, and it's definitely going to stick to your body, and it's not going to evaporate very easily. Okay, so what I've done with my tomatoes here is that I put my tomatoes in a self-watering container, as you can see right here. This is similar to what we would call an earth box, but it's a patio picker system. In one of the videos that I've actually created, I've shown how I set this up by using a ProMix soilless potting mix. It has a mixture of peat moss and coco coir, and it's a very good potting mix that I use, and I've been using it for a long time. And until recently, I've been using other type of potting mixes, including making my own, using coco coir and perlite, and even adding some Dakota peat to the mix as well. Now, I'm not an expert in growing tomatoes, and I'm not going to claim that I am either. But I'm just going to say right now that I'm still learning, and I'm always going to continue to learn. And the things that I've learned recently is adding aspirin to my tomatoes. And I kid you not, this right here is what I've been adding to my tomatoes, aspirin. I want to give a shout out to Millennial Gardener or Epic Gardener, or is it, I do not know who actually brought it up, but aspirin contains salicylic acid. And plants naturally produce salicylic acid. And when it's stressed or when the plant is under disease attack or whatever, it produces this stuff to basically help it to be, to defend itself against attack from pests and diseases and everything. Well, adding aspirin to it actually helps the tomato plant itself to prepare itself for any type of attack. And it actually makes itself more heat and disease resistant. We might have lightning in the background, so I'm not going to keep this going for too long. Now, a few of the things that I've actually added to these tomato plants here is this right here, Neptune Harvest. Now, I want to give a shout out to Millennial Gardener because he has actually gone into great detail about talking about using a fish emulsion type fertilizer, and this right here is actually made for tomatoes. And this right here actually is a fish emulsion type fertilizer, and is bioavailable nitrogen, which is bioavailable, and it also has nitrogen that has to take time to break down, before the plant can be able to utilize it. So the bacteria has to break down, the compounds that's inside of these plants here, and to be able to break it down and such, so that it becomes available to the plant. Now, there's another thing that I also use in my tomatoes, and I have been using it since 2011, and this product here is called C90. I want to give a special shout out to C Agri, because when I first heard about this stuff right here, uh, the late Dr. Maynard Murray actually had done research and found out why animals that live in the ocean, are so much healthier, and they also have such longer lives and everything, and more disease resistant living in the ocean. Well, to be truthful, the ocean water contains pretty much every element found on the periodic table, right? The nice thing I like about C90 is that it contains every element on the periodic table in the ionic form, or in the form of salts. And that's basically the form that plants utilize, is ions, whether it be a positively charged ion or a negatively charged ion. That's the only thing that plants will naturally take up, is ions. So shout out to C Agri for the C90, but also, even though I'm not sponsored by C Agri, I actually have been using their products since 2011 in my hydroponics. And just recently, I've been using C90 in my 180-gallon saltwater aquarium. And I basically recreated natural seawater just using C90. This stuff works, and it's excellent. Okay, now back to my tomato plants here. So what I've done is that I combined the Neptune Harvest fish fertilizer and the aspirin and the C90 into this water spray bottle here. And pretty much what I do is that over time, if I just let this sit for a little bit, I just shake it up, and the bacteria in here pretty much will break down whatever other compounds that are not available yet for the plants to utilize. The bacteria will break it down and be able to make it into a form that the plants can utilize. Now, the only thing about this stuff right here is that it kind of has a fishy smell to it, and my wife, she would not, appreciate it. So that's why I'm pretty much using the only tomatoes out here. But pretty much what I do is that every couple of days or so, I just come out and I just spray the tomatoes like that. The nice thing about these tomatoes here is that they've been doing quite well. Except for if you look at the leaves here, you can see that they've been attacked with blight and such. But the one thing that's very, very important when you do grow tomatoes, you want to make sure you pick out the right varieties, okay? This right here is a heat tolerant type tomato, okay? It tolerates high heat and it sets fruit well in high heat. That's one of the most important things. And the second most important thing you got to understand about growing tomatoes is that you want to make sure that you find ones that are disease resistant, ones that are resistant to blights and wilts and such. And Somerset is actually one of those tomatoes that are quite resistant to quite a few diseases and pests and such. But they're not going to be immune to hornworms or tomato worms or anything like that right there. So this is why you got to use BT or, other types of natural type of insecticides or fungicides and such to be able to control them. Now, these tomato plants were recently planted in the month of July, this month of July. So when it comes to time of the fall, I will actually have a fall harvest of tomatoes. But this is a determinate variety also, meaning it's only going to grow to a certain size. And once it reaches that size, then it's done producing. And it's going to produce all of its fruit, and then it'll be done. Well, technically it's not true. It's going to keep producing tomatoes all the way up until frost kills it and such. But even then, I'm going to be moving tomatoes indoors and growing tomatoes inside as well too. So just because it gets cold out here doesn't mean that tomato production has to stop for the whole winter time. You can also grow tomatoes indoors as well. And also, since this is a self-watering container, I water my tomato plants through this fill tube here, and on the side of the box there's drains which actually allows all the excess water to run out. So that way the tomato plants will have to be, needing water or something like that right there during the hottest part of the day, because this right here holds water very well. And this right here is pine bark mulch, which is actually a natural cover that I put over the potting mix. And if I just reach down just a little bit in here, I start reaching into moist potting mix. So this right here actually holds in moisture very, very well. And with it beginning to rain pretty soon here, it'll rain on top of this box here, and water will actually go through, and it will actually get stored in the 3-gallon reservoir that's actually at the bottom of this right here. And since the tomato plants are young, I don't have to keep watering this thing right here every day. I maybe have to water every couple of weeks or so, but depending on how much rain we get. But overall, I did put soft rock phosphate on the tomato plant roots, which is actually a good root, which is actually good for the tomatoes roots. And on this side over here is 2 cups of 13-13-13 inorganic granular based fertilizer. It is not time release, it's granular based, and it's way far away from the plant itself, so it's not going to burn the plant or anything, and it's going to give the plant all the nutrients that it needs over the time of its growth period. Okay, well, I got to head on inside because the storm's coming in and lightning is close in the area too. But if you have any questions or anything about growing tomatoes in a hot, humid climate, please let me know in the comment section below. And please hit that like button, as it shows the algorithm that you like my videos, and it'll help to spread the videos out to everyone else too. And please also subscribe to my channel too, as we try to reach our 1,000 subscriber count, get monetized, and hopefully be able to grow the channel even more and be able to teach you more about growing tomatoes and such. I'm John Jr. I'm the Tomato Man. Take care of yourselves. God bless. Bye-bye.